Hi, I'm Stevie C and the place to be. Lately, I've been suffering from what I suspect is autistic burnout. I thought I would do a video on the subject seeing as Autism Acceptance Week begins this past Monday. This video introduction is rather long, so you can either skip ahead with the video timecode or listen and potentially be distracted by my LED mood panels. Basically, I have a disability where 99% of other people can't say what they mean and give hints about something instead of just saying something outright. I was diagnosed as being on the autistic spectrum over a decade ago. Since then, I have been learning coping mechanisms in an attempt to fit into the neurotypical world I find myself forced to live in. These coping mechanisms are known as masking, and while entirely possible to pick up, they are an ongoing active process for my brain, and as such can become extremely exhausting. This ongoing exhaustion eats into the energy I have for other tasks in daily life, and leads to burnout and other related comorbidities. I've tried to learn rules and mannerisms and routines and behaviours. I've observed other people at work and in social situations, and how they interact with each other, and attempted to mimic them with varying degrees of success, failure, and often humiliation in between. I've been called creepy or intensive if I try to get engaged with a person or group of people, and then aloof, unsociable, withdrawn, or unfriendly if I give them space. I've had to learn the hard way by making far too much or far too little eye contact in interviews, and then not getting the job because although I could do the job, I couldn't talk about doing the job as well as someone else. Or I'm so distracted by the icky material that smart clothing seems to always be made of that my brain is concentrating on that instead of something the interviewer has asked. I once turned up to a pre-employment exam with the Scottish Electrical Charitable Training Trust, and the examiner sneered at me because I wasn't wearing a shirt and tie to an exam. They also wouldn't accept my requirements for learning support because, in their words, they don't show favouritism to candidates. True story. I've often thought, I wish I could just somehow download everything I needed to know into my brain on the fly, whether it be for a job interview or a date or socialising or whatever. Kind of like how the script for this video is written on a screen in front of me, except this idea goes a bit Black Mirror. So I've taken a break from repairing other people's sound and lighting gear to demonstrate a new prototype. I designed this PCB for another project that didn't happen, but by a happy accident, it's compatible with my idea. The genius of this design is such that even if my PCB design gets ripped off, the processing happens in firmware, so you'd have to somehow steal that as well. The PCB accepts anywhere from 5V to 24V DC input, with a 5V regulator and filtering for the logic circuitry. There's the option of adding up to 12 channels of I/O transducers, whether these are electrode pads, earphones, microphones, haptic sensors, or whatever. There's also the option up here for adding a suitably sized death beam capacitor for such times that it's required. Although, as you can see in this close-up of the capacitor, I've already had a bit of an accident with this one. You'll see it's slightly squished. I think it tried to destroy itself when it saw the contents of my brain and decided, yeah, nah. Each library, or indeed each personality profile, can be written to a PIC microprocessor, which is then installed into this DIP header here. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'll be using the 6 standard electrode probes. I'll maybe demonstrate the other I/O devices in another video. These work by plugging into the I/O board and monitoring my brainwaves and the tiny voltages generated by my body for activity and synthesizing their own response on top as required, kind of like how a pacemaker works. I haven't noticed any side effects other than a slight chill running down my spine and arms every time I insert a library chip. Hopefully I can work this out in a future design revision. So first I'm going to connect these electrode pads to my temples. That. Getting a bit of a mad scientist vibe, if I'm honest. Mad scientist who can't peel the pads off. Like that. This is just a prototype. clarity doesn't matter because the body's activity is measured as alternating current because it's essentially doing a little sort of a sine wave type thing. So there are then another 2 pads for my nipples and 2 for my ball sack. It's then just a case of inserting the appropriate personality profile IC into the socket ready for use and applying power. So this first profile identity chip that I want to demonstrate is one that should allow me to speak binary code in real time. So let's have a go. Think of something to say, okay. Ponar zi chung zi chao lengi zujian dao PCB tung. Oh, sorry. That appears to be the Chinese electronics factory worker chip. Sorry about that. Let's try another. Right, I think the labels have fallen off and got mixed up here, so this probably is not what's on here, but I'll give it a go anyway. Think of something to say. Vergiss nicht, meinen Kanal zu liken und zu abonnieren und dieses Video zu teilen. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be what's on there. I think that was learning German for sex workers and slaughterhouse operatives. Yeah, so I'm going to need to do a lot more research and development before this is ready. And I don't know how the labels fell off for a start. That's not the best result. So, sorry, this wasn't ready for demonstration. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel so you see future updates, and until next time, thanks for watching.